Hello YouTube, this is Jeff Holiday again. Trying out something a little bit different than I usually do. Don't have the green screen up, have my American flag up in the background. Just thought I'd talk one-on-one, you and me. Big things to talk about. Huge news. So I'm going to try and get through it as fast as possible. That way this video doesn't run too terribly long. Recently, Mike Adams, the leader of Natural News, popular woo and pseudoscience website, got himself in a little bit of hot water. It seems that Mike Adams believes that anyone who is not necessarily against Monsanto or the practices of genetically modified organisms is in fact equal to a Nazi collaborator, which of course makes Monsanto or any geneticists, I guess, Nazis. But it doesn't just stop there. Invoking Godwin's law, excuse me, not invoking Godwin's law, dropping a nuclear fucking bomb's worth of Godwin's law immediately into the conversation is one thing. But Mike Adams is not, he's not settled with just simply stating something inflammatory. No, he needs to go full-blown retard. Mike Adams has decided that he is going to urge people to commit murder, to actually kill anybody who is a Nazi collaborator in the realm of his agricultural holocaust. So that stuff is just so hard to believe. So at this point, you know, there's all these brilliant websites that started to cover this issue and started to talk about how he's making this comparison and how ridiculous it is, how dangerous his methodology, and the reason that people listen to him is it's a danger to society as a whole. So I'm not going to try and rehash that. I'll have all their wonderful links down there at the bottom. But instead, I noticed something really interesting, which compelled me to want to make a video again, finally, even though I haven't gotten my nice microphone in yet. It's that after he got caught with this, and after he is being investigated by the FBI, Mike Adams just continues to produce things. And they're not just silly, you know, small things. No. He's full steam. He's going just maximum velocity. So I now have to dub Mike Adams a lol cow. For the uninitiated, a lol cow is somebody who is capable of unending amounts of the lulls. Somebody who can't help themselves but be so completely stupid that it is damn near impossible not to poke him. You just want to poke the bear and see how pissed off he can get and all sorts of stupid shit he's gonna say. Because of that, made a video on his latest little thing. So here it is, Jeff Holiday's dissection of Agricultural Holocaust Explained. The 10 worst ways GMOs threaten humanity and our natural world. You ready? Let's go. Coming in with a bullet is number 1. Every grain of GM corn contains poison. This is a common misconception on what actual genetically modified corn is. Genetically modified corn is usually one of 2 varieties. Either it is a corn that has been bred to have resistance to a certain type of herbicide so that you can spray it a lot and it'll kill the stuff that you don't want, but it'll keep the corn. That means that there is no poison inside the grain of the corn. Instead, there's poison on the outside. And that's what happens with organic crops too. And then the other one, the second one, is BT corn. BT corn is corn that's been modified so that it expresses a certain protein that repels or kills certain types of insects, and it's perfectly safe to humans. Perfectly safe. And the real kicker of it, BT is used in organic pesticides too. They spray it on organic crops, and it's perfectly harmless. Number 2. GMOs have never been safely tested for human consumption. This always kind of bothers me a little bit, because I hear this kind of thing a lot. They want the crop to be tested for safety, yet when crops are tested for safety with human beings, they're like, hey, you can't use human beings as guinea pigs. But why aren't you? But wait. But I decided when I wrote up about this that I would take this in a little bit of a different direction and instead express why don't we test every crop for human safety. The amount of genetic drift between completely organic or mutagenic, that is, plants that are bombarded with radiation and can still be labeled organic. Look it up. Why don't we test them for 20 years? It's stupid and it's pointless. Number 3. GMOs transform farming freedom into farming servitude. Oh! Bullshit. This is all because he believes that he can incite some panic in people. Oh, don't you understand? They're patenting seeds. So do organic companies. So do conventional companies. They all patent their seed. If you have a problem with it, don't point fingers at GMO for doing what everything else does. Just buy local. And then he brings up like, oh, there's all these farmer suicides in India, blah, 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 blah. This is an often cited thing mentioned by impressive bullshit artist Vandana Shiva, who claimed that there was an epidemic of farmer suicides in India after the introduction of genetically modified crops. This is bullshit. It has been that way even before they had genetically modified crops. In fact, in some years, the number went down. It doesn't matter. Number 4. GMOs run the very real risk of runaway, self-replicating genetic pollution and ecocide. Quote from this: unlike isolated chemicals, GMOs self-replicate. This means there is an automatic risk of a runaway ecological holocaust caused by genetic pollution from GMOs. Unlike isolated chemicals, GMOs self-replicate. No fucking shit. How do you compare elemental chemicals to GMOs? That's like me comparing hey, it's a block of carbon to a fucking houseplant. It's completely bizarre. Of course it self-replicates. That's the point of life. Anything that's alive, an organism, is going to self-replicate one way or another, either through breeding or through asexual reproduction, mitosis, whatever. But this idea of a runaway ecological holocaust, I don't even know what the fuck that's supposed to mean. A holocaust is usually a massive murdering of things through fire. I don't think there's any Roundup Ready corn plants with fucking flamethrowers in them. Maybe I'm wrong. Number 5. GMO agriculture is breeding a new generation of chemical-resistant superweeds. This one's actually really interesting because he could have had a really good conversation in this topic, talking about superweeds. But then again, also, he kind of shot himself in the foot right away because the whole notion of superweeds is ridiculous. Nature is an adaptive system. If you have nature doing something and then you do something to make nature stop doing something, nature usually tries to find a way through trial and error, evolution, mutation, to be able to keep doing that thing. It's just kind of how it works. You can have weeds that are resistant to organic pesticides as well. It happens. It just happens. Now, this could open up a really good conversation about the overuse of pesticides, the appropriate use of pesticides. Does Mike Adams, the health ranger, bring it up this way? No. Number 6. GMOs may have long-term unintended consequences on the environment. And here's another really good quote. The problem in all this is that Mother Nature has a way of bringing about unintended consequences even from well-meaning scientists. What this basically is trying to explain is that with GMOs introduced into the wild, that the effect of nature could have on it could turn into something that we did not foresee, and this is something that we should be afraid of. Well, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Nature doesn't exist in a vacuum. Nature is not a sterile environment. Nature is not the same as it was 20 years ago. In fact, the nature that we enjoyed yesterday is not going to be the same, genetically, nature that we enjoyed today. It's going to be different. Nature evolves and it mutates in such a rapid way that it's hard to even be able to comprehend. Trillions upon trillions upon trillions of different combinations of different things are always intermixing through genetic drift. The world is a hugely dynamic ecosphere in very specific consolidated little places. Nature has a really amazing way of adapting to its environment. It takes a very large monumental force that we are capable of, climate change, to make such a huge impact. But this idea that just because something is inherently genetically modified, that it could suddenly be more dangerous to genetic mutation and drift than something that's been mutated over and over and over and over for years is stupid. Number 7. GMOs collapse biodiversity. Well, this is kind of a silly one too. As of right now, there are less than 20 different types of genetically modified crops that are actually allowed to be produced for human consumption. I don't know about you, but there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different plants that we can eat. Now, we grow a shit ton of stuff that we can grow with GMO, and that's why we made them GMO, because we want them to grow faster. That's the whole idea. They'll work with trying to make ethanol out of corn so we have a better fuel source. These are real reasons to have GMOs. But the idea that we're going to just collapse biodiversity, it's not like GMO soy is going to come along and be like, hey, carrots, get out of here. I need a drink for this one. Number 8. GMOs put control over the food supply into the hands of profit-driven corporations. Not even just speaking about conventional foods or how complicated and involved and intertwined our food system actually is, but just speaking purely on organic. Organic is anywhere from 35 to sometimes projected $80 billion industry. That's a lot. All of our food is in the hands of profit-driven corporations. GMOs didn't do that. Corporations did that. Our desire for an ease of access to food, to supermarkets, to fast food, on the go, fast-paced, busy atmosphere, that's what did that. GMOs didn't do that. Like, there's nothing inherently about GMOs that's going to take away control of food. Nothing takes away control of our food. We give away control of our food. We do that through a basic exchange. That's just how it fucking works. Number 9. GMOs may be harming our pollinators. They might be. Now, I really need to get in depth into this one, and I plan to. I want to do a video and write a whole big article on the ridiculous way that people are conveying the problem with the bees. I'm just going to give a couple of buzz things for you to maybe look up in your spare time if you're really interested. In the meantime, if I don't get around to it for a little while, here's some good hits. Number 1, honeybees are not our only pollinators. There are lots of different types of bees that are not being affected by this colony collapse disorder. These are, when they refer to the CCD, it's usually specifically honeybees. As well, bees aren't the only pollinators. There's also this whole kind of trope that if the bees die, we die. Now, if we lost honeybees, it would be a serious thing. We wouldn't all starve. Honeybees are not native to North America. Native Americans got along just fine without them. And one other thing, too, the evidence that ties in any kind of GMO, because he just says GMO, which there are different types of GMO, the evidence for that is actually pretty weak, and there's other signs that it might be due to something else as well. Obviously, we need to keep looking into it, but just to outright, like, that's what it is, kind of silly, kind of stupid, and very irresponsible. All right, my friends, number 10. The kind of scientists who collaborate with biotech companies are the most dishonest, corrupt, and unethical scientists in the world. Really? I think it's interesting that a man who can actually call for the death of scientists and journalists alike just because he disagrees with them is trying to talk to somebody about ethics. Or how anybody who actively goes and tries to convince people that AIDS is not what everybody says it is, and you shouldn't take your AIDS medicine anymore, could actually be talking about corruption. This man is disgusting. He is absolutely terrible. But at the same time, one has to stand back and look in beautiful awe at how he just doesn't seem to be able to stop himself, which is why I call him a lolcow. Because I know that no matter what, I'll have a billion other things by the week's end that I could make another video or another article on. He just keeps bringing it in, man, bringing it in. It's so perfect, so beautiful. But if he gets any worse, I think we might have to upgrade Mike Adams, the Health Ranger, from a lolcow to a raffle whale. Anyway, that's my video. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a good one, YouTube. Hello, my name is Jeff Holiday, and I make videos on science, skepticism, and reason. If you would like to see more videos like the one you just watched, please click the subscribe button down below. Rate me if you liked it. Leave a comment if you want. Do my best to get back to you. Have a great day.